There are some people that do argue that men and women are equals. And there are some people that argue that men and women are not equals. So, well, we have a debate between Jordan Peterson and this woman. So let's check it out, guys.
What do you understand by equality, Sophie? What does it mean to you?
Freedom.
Can you be more... Is it equality of opportunity? Is it equal pay across the board? Is it something more than that?
I think equality is better for everyone. I think,
okay.
you know, and I'm really delighted, you know, I love my job because it's an optimistic and a hopeful job, which is about creating more choices for people. I'm interested in people being able to have different choices and having equality of outcome.
She danced around that question. She did not answer it. I don't think she knows what equality means.
Aha, well, so you're going to have choices and equality of outcome. What if people choose different things, which is what they've been doing in Scandinavia? So the Scandinavian countries have moved more towards gender equality than any other countries, and the personality differences in Scandinavia have increased rather than decreased, and the proportion of women who are choosing STEM fields has decreased rather than increased. So as cultures become more gender neutral, the number of women who choose STEM fields decreases.
What do you mean by STEM fields?
So science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So if you let men and women make their choices, what actually happens is that they specialize in different situations. You don't get equality of outcome.
Could they not have been programmed to have those views from the moment we raise them and give boys Lego and construction?
No, because what happens is that as countries get more egalitarian, which means there's less programming of that sort, the differences get larger, not smaller. And the scientific data on that is clear, and most of it was generated by people who have a left-leaning bias, so you can't blame it on conservative scientists. It was a shock to everyone to find that out.
Sophie,
I think the difference between Jordan and me is that we look at evidence and we lean towards different theories. So Jordan's theory is very much evolutionary, you know, that there are inherent differences in men and women. Mine is very much more social role theory, if you like, and that men and women are taking on different roles due to the expectations that society puts on them. And it's interesting that Jordan frequently cites Scandinavian countries where they've made more, like there's nowhere in the world that women are equal, but Scandinavia has made the most progress towards shared parenting, etc.
Yep.
That said, it's not done yet. There's nowhere in the world where this is done yet.
But it's having the opposite effect that the gender equality types predicted. Opposite, not the same. And it isn't a theory, it's actually data driven by tens of thousands of surveys and the best scientific literature on the topic. It's not a theory, and I didn't come about it because of my political perspective. I looked at the data. What it showed was that as countries become more egalitarian, the differences between men and women grow. They don't shrink.
Okay, so she was given a difference between her and the man and the person she's debating with. She was asked earlier on, I think at the beginning of the video, what equality means for her, and she said freedom. Let's check out what freedom means. Freedom means here the power or right to act, speak, or think as one wants. So it's a totally different thing. And in her mind, she tells herself the fact that she has the power to or right to act, speak, and think whatever she wants. How she thinks that's equality, but that's not what equality is. So let's hear more. And let me see your comments in the comment section.
So what I'm interested in is data and analysis as well. And I'm particularly interested in the ones presented, such as the ones by the University of Southern California, which discovered that change towards gender equality is actually being slowed by beliefs that are legitimizing social inequalities on the basis of sex. And I'm also interested, I mean, like Jordan, I look at the data and I look at the studies, and I'm really also very much interested in studies like the analysis that was done by the American Psychological Society, which looked at 45 analysis of whether there's sex difference over 20 years. And its conclusion was that men and women are basically alike in terms of personality, in terms of cognitive ability, in terms of leadership. But what it did find was that media depictions of men and women as fundamentally different perpetuate misconceptions, as does workplace bias.
Oh, God, so it's my fault.
So, no, well, you're leaving soon. It's okay.
Men and women actually are more the same than they are different. But the issue is that small differences at the population level can turn into very large differences at the extreme. So, for example, men and women are broadly similar with regards to aggression, although men tilt a little bit more towards aggression. So that if you picked a random person out of the population, male and female, and you guessed that the male was more aggressive, you'd be right 60% of the time. But if you take the 1 in 100 most aggressive people, they're all male. And that's why the overwhelming proportion of people who are in prisons are male. Now, do you want to equalize that, just out of curiosity? What about bricklayers? They're 99% male. And we've got about 3/4 of the population now in universities, in the humanities and social sciences, are female.
Yeah.
Oh, he's put a great point in front of us. He's talked about like how most of the men, or if you look at the prison system, it's predominantly males, go to prison more than women. And you look at also the cases that they do commit. You find certain cases that these have, it's predominantly men as opposed to women. Let's talk of theft. There are more men or males that have gone to prison because of stealing. There are less females or women that have gone to prison because of stealing.
Going to equalize that. And men work longer hours. They work more dangerous jobs. They're more likely to move. They're more likely to work outside. They're more likely to participate in jobs in the STEM fields that are scalable. They make more money for those reasons. And that's all hidden under the idea that the reason that men and women make different amounts of money is because of their gender. It's a very simplistic analysis, and trying to
Michael,
address
I was just going to say, Sophie,
That's when women's whole argument for equality falls apart. They don't want that same equality when it comes to certain jobs. They don't want to do labor-intensive work. And you would think it's more labor-intensive, blue-collar jobs, but these women are also not going into the science or engineering fields as well, where they got to build, machinery. A lot of software jobs, women are not running to those jobs as well.
can you come back on that?
What I'm trying to equalise is opportunity and choice.
Fine, let's equalise choice.
You agree on that.
But we won't get equal outcome that way.
And I think that what happens then, nobody knows, because we've never done it yet.
We do know. We know what's happened in Scandinavia.
But it's not fully got there yet.
No, but it's going in the opposite direction that everyone predicted, and strongly.
I think one of the things I loved about Jordan's book, which I speed read last night, so forgive me, Jordan, I've not read every line. But one of my favourite rules in Jordan's book is Rule 9, which says, assume the person you are listening to might know something you don't.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that in a country where men outnumber women by 2 to 1 in Parliament, in local government, where women's voices are not equally represented in media, where our education systems still are teaching boys and girls ideas of pink and blue. What I'm trying to do is work with thousands of optimistic, hopeful people for change.
Okay, forgive me.
We take joint
Forgive me, I
membership.
want to take one call if you'll forgive me, because time is really short, and I owe it to the viewers to hear their views on this.
We've got Salim calling from Manchester.
Salim, good morning.
Hi, Matthew. How you doing?
I'm very well. I'm loving it. I'm a pig in heaven today. What do we think about equality? Will it ever happen, Salim?
I was going to say I thought it was going to happen, but after listening to Jordan, he's swayed my opinion.
No. Why did you think it was going to happen?
Because I think we're going to become more cognitive creatures, and jobs are going to be more about mental skills.
Technology.
But then I've been visited schools, and I work in STEM. I'm a software developer, and the number of women doing software development hasn't increased. I would have thought they would have increased more, but I went into secondary school to do GCSE IT stuff, and there's very, very few girls doing IT, and I was thinking IT is the future, and the schools are pushing for more girls to go into IT, but
so there are so many factors at play. In as much as there are activists that will try, or the governments try to make sure that there is equal opportunities for both male and female, the issue is now with how we are gifted differently, because we have different abilities as men and women. We have different strengths as men and women, and lean towards certain things as men and women. So in as much as the playing field is leveled, or whether the playing field for women is a little bit adjusted up, whereby it's advantageous for them to do certain courses, to do IT, maybe they don't need to make certain points or to meet certain grades to do IT, you'll see that still there will be less women that would want to go into IT, in engineering, or some white-collar jobs. There are few women that find the need to start companies, maybe in engineering or in construction sectors. There are few women that would want to venture in that area. There are few women that want to venture into agriculture to produce food. There are few women that will venture into that. Guess what women mostly will go for? They'll go for white-collar jobs. There will be women that want to do law, journalism. Some of them don't even want to go to school. Some of them want to do OF. There are no men that are trying to, you know what, I'll start OF on some kind. So in as much as the women will try to echo on equality, equal opportunities and all of that, I like to believe that most of the governments in this world, they've tried to make that a reality. They've made it happen. They've made it more easy for women to get to certain positions, to get to certain schools, to get to certain jobs, because like everyone is talking about this. Everyone wants that, like women wants that, and there are men that are encouraging that to happen. But it goes back to individuals. If you are to pick a population of, or a sample of 100 boys and 100 girls, you ask them what they want to do. You see that most of them will lean towards white collar. And you take the boys, most of them, you see that most of them want to create things. They want to do things. They want to construct things, And you take even maybe a sample population of 19-year-olds, 19-year-old boys, 19-year-old girls, and you ask them what they are currently doing or what they would want to do in the next few years. Most of them now, if it's in the Western world, you actually see that some of them have even started OF. Now you ask the boys whether they have a mindset of wanting to do that. You find out some of them, they'll tell you that they are doing some job somewhere. As they were to go to school, they are going to school or doing some job somewhere. But ask the same question maybe to women, you find that they are not doing anything other than going to school. So people bring in this conversation and they talk about the pay gap and all that. I think it's just those debates people just want to have a debate. I don't know what you guys think. Let me read a few comments in the comment section. Then we wrap it up. I'm Norwegian, living in Norway, one of the most egalitarian countries in the world. Because of free choice, women choose to work with people, men choose to work with things. Free choice equals gender roles are reaffirmed. She said there is no country in the world where women are equal. She is literally lying. He looks sober. He looks like the sober guy talking to drunk people. Quote of the day, awesome. The worst form of inequality is to try to make unequal things equal. Some people are absolutely unashamed to not just be stupid, but to impose their stupidity on others. Guys, let me know what you think in the comment section. I'll see you in the next one.